All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rechakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom, salutations to the hopeful elect that's following the right doctrine, that's seeking out the Lord in truth and sincerity and wholeheartedly. All right, shalom to the Akwath, which is the women believer. Shalom unto you. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So this is a video from 1996. And David Icke, he always was a guy who I listened to even before the truth. So back when I first was coming in, I used to watch like a lot of Illuminati videos, and that's usually most of us how we started. But I used to watch him a lot, and I remember they did him dirty. I mean, they do everybody dirty that speak the truth, but they basically, a lot of people think this man is crazy. But everything that he was saying back in the 90s, early 90s, late 90s, it's all coming to pass today. Just like the guy who made Trading Places. I came Aaron Russo. All right. So he was talking about how he met a man named Nick Rockefeller, and that Nick Rockefeller wanted to chip everybody. And look what's happening today. They talk about, having microchips in people. But anyways, that's not what this video is all about. But obviously, I can't even really say obviously, because we look like all nations. I believe that this man, is an Edomite. But anyways, Psalm 64:8, it said, they shall make their own tongue fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. See, this is what's been happening for a long time. You've had whistleblowers, especially of their own people, because the Lord made everything double. They even have oppositions within their own people. You got some that's just like mad that they've been cut out the pie. And then you got some who the Lord just put the spirit on to expose to fulfill prophecy. All right. Hold on. Look like my son right by the door. Can never get no peace around here. But anyways, so also, let me get this too. Because that's what these people is all about. They conceive trouble and give birth to evil. That's why in the Apocrypha, in the first chapter, said many evils was multiplied. It's talking about Philip the Macedonian, which is the Edomite, Alexander the Great, in the time of these, men. Then after he died, had 4 generals. And then from that point on, wickedness spread into the earth. Then also in Malachi 1:4, the border of wickedness. Who is the culprit? Look like a so-called white person. All right. That's what they call themselves, but they're Edomites. So, and it said their womb produces deceit. As the scripture says, they be born speaking lies. All right. So from the womb, I mean, they can't help themselves. This is the spirit that the Lord have given them. They are the wicked.
You start by secretly creating a problem in the world and making sure someone else is blamed for it in the public arena, in the public mind. It could be a run on a currency. It could be a government collapse. At its most extreme, it could be a war, because the two.
Now, he says so much in those few sentences. Now, the prophets been using that terminology, and that is terminology that is used from whistleblowers too. The difference between whistleblowers and prophets, we know how to tie it into the scriptures. This man have never ever said anything about the mark of the beast, but he will mention talking about people having microchips in them. You see how the prophets, they the ones that put the cherry on top when it comes to the conclusion of the matters. All right, because we able to filter it through the scriptures. Now, he says so much. You got to have somebody to blame. Now, I'm going to use a couple examples. Obviously, September 11th, they blame the Arabs, right? We know it was an inside job. Also, I'm gonna use something that is about to happen. So when the grid go out, what they've been saying for years now, Russia, China, North Korea, those be like the three main ones that they'll blame that a cyber attack could come. Russia, China being the main ones. But so when that do happen, they already got somebody to blame. Also, economy collapsing. Cause if the grid go out, banking go out, everything go out. Majority of everything is on the electronic grid. So they have people to blame to divert your attention from the culprit. All right, the elites that actually run this world. Also, matter of fact, I'm gonna let him speak some more.
World wars in this century were funded, all sides were funded by the same people.
It's a documentary called All Wars Are Banker Wars. Now, what he's about to say, obviously they are funded by both sides. It's a lot of money. That's big business right there. But the main thing about wars is that you are able to transform society afterwards. Because war, a lot of people die, a lot of infrastructure is destroyed. And then, people going to want to seek peace, which made me think of, outside of the mark of the beast, I think this is like the probably the second most famous scripture. It's so relevant to the times. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon woman with child, and they shall not escape. So you have to understand that that's how these devils work. By peace, they will destroy many. That's in Daniel's 8 and 25 through his policies. All right. So it's nothing new under the sun with these devils. That's why I want to title this video the same playbook, problem, reaction, solution. And it's all to bring forth the NWO.
Movable. The same people that funded the Allies in the Second World War and funded the Soviet Union also funded Hitler through loans from America, known as the Young Plan and the Dawes Plan, and also via the German subsidiaries of American multinational companies. Why would they do that? Why would someone want to fund all sides in a war? What is good is a war? Well, first of all, on one level, it makes vast amounts of money if you're lending money to all sides and you're also selling them lots of arms and all that stuff. But the fundamental reason for a war is to change the nature of post-war society. And what we saw in the First World War and the Second World War were massive global examples of problem, reaction, solution. We are looking at a gigantic con trick.
Now, I'll tell you one main thing that happened after World War II. The dollar became king. That's the Bretton Woods conference that they had. So America got all these countries to turn in their gold and silver in exchange for paper. And then when the nations wanted it back, particularly France, wanted their gold back, then Nixon said, hey, we're going to temporarily do away with the gold standard. And it never came back. It's still temporarily on hold. All right. About 50, 60 years later. So, now when this economy crashes, what you think is going to be the new play? Because even back, in the time, when the Social Security, was coming, what else? It was Social Security and birth certificates. I think that was in like the 1930s after the Great Depression. So yeah, it's always a new system comes from problem, reaction, solution. See, in the time of Great Depression, you might have had people, I wasn't born back then. Hey, I might have, I don't know. But anyways, but I wasn't born back then. So I don't know how people's mentality was, but I understood that they obviously accepted it. They didn't want to go through that Great Depression again. So, hey, this was the best thing. Yeah, let's make sure that, we have a collection of money, when we retire or something. We have to go through this again, But this is how this devil works. And everything is being exposed. The scripture says that everything that is secret should be made manifest. Everything that is hid should come out abroad. So now we in the time of information age. We in the time where the Lord is exposing, as it say in Jeremiah 49:10, you know, Esau is exposed. He cannot hide himself. All right. Because the way that he was able, you know, his secrecy is what kept him in power. Now he's been exposed. Now he's about to write laws that taking these talking points offline. And then he's going to use the sword eventually because that's all he knows. That's his blessing, actually. So now this devil, he's not looked at the way that he used to be looked at. It said the vile person. A vile person is a morally wicked person, which that's who the wicked is from the womb. But at one point in time, he was looked at as a liberal. So it says, shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl shall be bountiful. So you got a liberal, which is a good nature person. Bountiful person is a person who gives. Now this devil, you know, what's that term they call it? Bill Gates, a philanthropist. You know, I can't speak that well. Philanthropist. So those are people who know basically give, you know, good fortune to charities and stuff like that. All of these things is tax write-off, and they all circle back to them anyway. But the point is, they was looked at as, you know, oh, they got the welfare system. You know, they give you public housing and all of this stuff. So they was looked at as, you know, people who help. These devils been speaking like dragons for the past 2 years. As it say in Revelation 13:11. I'm going to get that next. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity to practice hypocrisy. So he always do the opposite. And ain't that what Trump literally is doing the opposite of everything he said he was going to do. Make America great again is worse. Make America cheap again is expensive. All right. So it says to utter against Yahweh, like his science of technology, never mention God, always talking about artificial intelligence, to make empty the soul of the hungry and will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. So everything is direct towards us, you know, to make us thirsty, to make us, you know, lack. Because at the end of the day, Israelites, if you don't understand, this is your number one enemy. You are in his kingdom. And of course, if he can use you, he's going to use you. But it's coming to a time where he ain't going to need you no more. Then what? You're going to be discarded. The instruments of the churl are evil. All right. And it's supposed to be. That's what a churl is. A mean-spirited person. That's these devils. They smile in your face. Old time wanna take your place of Max. Yeah. Okay? That's who he is. and guess what? Jake have took on those characteristics too. That's why even Yahushua say, ye are of your father the devil. So it say, he that devises wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speak of right. Okay? Because, yeah, he know they speak lawfully concerning oppression. So the time that we are in, and I beheld another beast coming out of the earth. He had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. That's the time that we are in. The speak as a lamb, you know, he came docile, humble, acting like he cared about your best interest. Now he don't give a damn. It's about what their agenda is about. Okay?
Before our eyes. We don't live in a democracy in this country or in America or in these other places. We live in a one-party state. Where
That's why we just read Revelation 13:11. All right? 1 bird, 2 wings. Okay? It's the 2 wings of the same bird.
same force from the peak of the pyramid, string pulls, all sides.
Political actors acting like they're against each other, but they for each other. They cause it a divide. Kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. They don't even understand that they playing into Yahweh, Bash, and Yahweh's hands. All right?
The creation of a one world government, to which nation states would be principalities, administrative units, a world central bank which would administer all financial transactions on the planet, a world currency which wouldn't be coins and notes. It would be merely electronic, cashless society, for which there are fundamental implications for freedom, as we'll see as we go along tonight. A world army under centralized control, with nation-state armies dismantled under the justification of seeking peace, and a microchipped population linked to a global computer, the latter of which...
Yeah, so, woo. For you false prophets out there, you know, you gonna let David Icke do y'all like that? So even he know, but he just can't tie it to the scriptures because he ain't mentioned no scriptures. I don't think he ever mentioned scriptures, if I can't recall. All right, when I watch this guy, but he gives out information. That's what we are for. See, as Elder Yashawamba coined these people the third witness. Scripture said that, you know, by 2 or 3 witnesses, everything should be established, right? So you got Judah, Ephraim, Southern Kingdom, Northern Kingdom, and then the whistleblowers. Okay, so he cannot hide himself. Esau have been made bare. And Edomites is airing them out. His own people. Making his own tongue fall upon himself. Okay? Let's go back a little bit.
Which there are fundamental implications for freedom, as we'll see as we go along tonight. A world army under centralized control, with nation-state armies dismantled under the justification of seeking peace, and a microchipped population linked to a global computer, the latter of which sounds bizarre to many people on first hearing, except that we are ridiculously close to it. And
yeah, we are. And especially now, this is back in 1996. Sound crazy, though. Imagine hearing this back in 1996, even though the prophets, they just wasn't worldwide. They was more regional. It wasn't time for the Lord, you know, to make it worldwide. He made it worldwide in 2007. So 11 years later. But imagine hearing that. What? Talk about a microchip and everybody being linked to a supercomputer. Well, yeah, now that computer is called the cloud. It's called the Internet of Things, where everything is interconnected. Okay? The first computer filled up a damn, what's a good example? It filled up a whole living room. Matter of fact, bigger than that. You could say the supercomputer, if you go look it up at the first computer, it like literally filled up like a whole living room and upstairs. That's how big it was. Now the technology increased. You got a computer in your pocket. You got a phone. All right. But yeah, because the scripture said knowledge shall increase. So this is the time that we are in. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. That's the artificial intelligence. That the image of the beast shall both speak and cause that many will not worship the image of the beast shall be killed. When you go into this word, all right, you got the literal killed and you also got separation from society. The reason that I quote a lot, don't go into a lot of definitions for time's sake. I always try my best to try to make a video straight to the point. And that means you should do your due diligence to go look up the word. So it says, and he calls of all, both small and great, rich or poor, free or bond, receive a mark on their right hand or in their foreheads. I'm definitely going to look up mark, especially for those who may be new. And it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. That's the separation right there. If you don't got it, you can't participate in society. Then it's going to come to a time where you're useless, so we might as well just take you out. Or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for here is a number of a man, and his number is 603 which is 666. All right. Let him talk a little bit. Look up the word charagma. We're going to get up out of here.
Technology already exists. So World Health Organization says there's going to be a measles epidemic next year. Get vaccinated. Get your children vaccinated. You're a bad parent if you don't.
See, and this is all the way back in 1996, and I remember, if I'm not mistaken, because I lived through it, but I can't remember everything. Try my best though. I think in like 2000, you had like, I want to say anthrax, maybe anthrax. Then after that, you had SARS. Then you had something in 2008. I want to say it was measles. Like this is back in 1996, but then yeah, I can't remember all of them. But I just know we had a few. I remember anthrax. I remember SARS. I remember when people were scared to like open up their mail. Yeah. So, but look, it's the same playbook. So even back then, what he just said, I didn't even want to play that part of the video for the video to stay up. But ain't that the same thing that happened in 2020? Coercing, making people feel guilty of if you don't take it, then you are a bad person. You know, all of that. So yeah, it's nothing new under the sun. It's the same playbook. So we're gonna look up the word charagma. Well, actually stigma, because it's the same definition, but this one goes in better. So you got high size stigma. We're gonna look up stigma.
Strong's G 4742. Stigma. Stigma.
A mark pricked in or branded upon a body to ancient Oriental usage. That's the East. Slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander. So you see how it's giving you understanding. So you taking the chip, you taking his name, you becoming his image. And the Lord said He made man in His image. All right. He's saying you made in His image now. His likeness. All right. It said to brand it or prick cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in the way with the token of their God. So yeah, this is why you taking it. This is why the destruction is this. So it says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast in the image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. And he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the Lamb. That's Yahweh Shai. And their smoke is sending up forever and ever. That's a very long time. And they have no rest day nor night who worship the beast in this image, whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. So yeah, continue to be false prophets. I'm talking about you false prophets out there who don't want to say what the mark of the beast is, giving people to run around. You got a lot of blood on your hand. And also, the scripture says in Revelation 3:10, that since you have kept the words of my patience, I will also keep you from the hour of temptation. The Lord got us. Always remember that. Seek ye out the Lord while he may be found. Shalom.